Um, Good morning. Welcome to Mo Knows, featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. Uh, okay. I I should have renamed this and I didn't. My bad. I don't know if this is gonna go through. Um, Let me see. Does it say we make a change from there? All changes there. All right. Let me see. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. And I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. Damn that. Oof. I hate when I wake up feeling dizzy in the morning. Okay, so it did change the it did change it. Okay. Uh I just have a few thoughts before she gets sentenced today. I did not follow this. Um, so this morning, my conversation is going to be directed at Amber Geiger um, and her recent uh, guilty. Good morning, Alethea. Her recent being found guilty, and I've toiled with this, but this is just my opinion, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And I'm gonna share mine. I never understand folks, but folks be doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Every When you get charged, to me, I hate when you get charged with a crime, you have choices, and at some point, you have to weigh all of your options and arrive at one. Do you have a defense for what you're being charged with? Is there a defense? Can you plead this out? I don't understand why some people don't take plea deals. I don't understand if they don't get offered to people or whatever, because some things you just can't change no matter what. Like it's not going to matter no matter what. This is just what it is. Um, so I'll give you my thoughts this morning, and then I'll be back for West Coast on Wednesday. And then you can give me your thoughts afterwards, and there should be a sentence imposed by the time I get back this evening, so that there be a more full-fledged conversation. Um, and I think I'm gonna safely play something so that y'all hear what I hear. Do you hear what I hear? Um, because to me, this was the nail in her coffin. Well, first of all, she should have never went to trial. In my opinion, she should have did everything. Uh, they should have tried to settle this without going to trial. But I think I'm done with that. So let me go back to this. All right. Okay. Hey, Raining Woman. All right. So this morning I am DIE, dead. That's an inside joke. You gotta come where I come from. Hey, Myron. All right. Let me hook this up so that I could play this so y'all could hear it, because normally you have a long cross-examination, right? That's when, well, generally you do not have a witness when you're found, when you're the defendant. You're not obligated to take the stand, and you're not obligated to say anything. The prosecution has to prove their case. Their case in chief with reasonable doubt, without a reasonable doubt. There was no doubt here that she shot and killed him. The only thing that was in question was her mens rea. What was she thinking at the time? And mens rea really has to do with mens rea. You can look it up. It is your mental state, and did you know right and wrong at the time of the crime? And that's the only reason to bring your defendant to come on the stand at this time, was to try to convince the jury of her mind, where her mind was at when she entered an apartment and killed a man in his own home. And this thing is mind-boggling, because it's like, yo, somebody just walked into your home, which I can't understand how that happened. But it's weird how life imitates, like you can get a deeper insight just into some bullshit. And I'll do that as a sidebar. But how somebody can walk into your home, shoot and kill you, and still believe they have the privilege to say, oh, I made a mistake. Me, I was looking to hear something about like drinking afterward. Like I was trying to figure out how she could mistake the apartment. And the only thing I guess they tried to present as a defense is that she hadn't lived there very long, maybe a couple of months. So she parked on a different level, but since everything's uniform, everything looked the same, even though she wasn't on her floor. But they didn't do a good job telling me that either. I'm going to play you her part of her testimony, and this is on cross examination, that I think rips her a new one and is like, lady, why are we here? So now y'all tell me if y'all could hear it. I think it's more than privilege. At this point, it has nothing to do with privilege. It just has to do with because I am trying to understand for me. So here's the problems I have. Why are people compare why do we even care that she's a police officer? And I'm upset with the community at large because the narrative being painted is that we're getting justice at this point and that there's going to be a change in directions for officers due to this. Y'all wrong. None of this makes sense. And her senseless killing of this man in his home, it doesn't equate. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to me as being the same as being a young man walking down the street and a police officer confronts you and tells you to put your hands up. This is not the same. These are not the same two things. And if y'all reaching this hard to get some piece of if you feel like this is justice, then I'm disappointed in you, and you need to explain to me. You need to help me understand how these two cases are the same. How this woman shooting this man in his home is equivalent to officers on the job in the heat of doing their job, feeling in fear. These are not the same. And I think the prosecutor did his best to try to tear at her statements or her mens rea. And here it is.
As the door was open fully, that's when you saw the silhouette.
Yes, sir.
So you knew from outside that door, with the protection of that door between you,
Wait, I'm not
there was
hearing
something inside that was making noise.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh,
So here were your options then. Your options were, at this point, to go in and find the threat, or your option would have been, I'm going to back off, I'm going to take a position of cover and concealment, and I'm going to get some help out here. Those are options, right?
They are.
Okay. But you chose option A, which was I'm going in to find the threat.
That was the only option that went through my head. I was at home, and
Ma'am, will you answer my questions?
Yes, sir.
You chose to go in and find the threat, even though you were in a position to have taken cover and concealment, right?
No, sir.
Your training, which you've told this jury several times now, that you revert to. You've told them that, right?
Yes, I have.
You rely on that training, is what you've said.
Yes, I do.
That's why you pulled the gun when you pulled the gun, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why you keep your right hand empty.
Yes, sir.
That's why you backed your truck in, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because that's what police do, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're telling me at the most critical moment of the entire thing, your training just abandoned you.
No, sir.
No, because your training says that when you're at this point here, for officer safety, to maximize your safety, do not go inside that apartment.
On a call.
Ma'am, your general orders indicate that you are on duty 24/7.
They do.
And you know that that training is designed for your safety, first and foremost.
Yes, sir.
And that's not only what your orders are, that's how you guys are trained.
Yes, sir.
So for your safety, you should have taken a position of cover and concealment and got help. And instead you decided to go in.
Yes, I did go in.
You had a police radio on you, didn't you?
I did.
Did it work?
It did.
You live 2 blocks away from police headquarters?
Yes, sir.
You know that when you call out as a police officer, the number one thing for every other police officer is to come and help you if you say that you need help.
Yes, sir.
You know that the response time on this call was about 2 minutes and bodies were at the apartment.
Yes, sir.
So you could have taken a position of cover and concealment. You could have called for help on your radio, and you could have had the cavalry there in 2 minutes.
I could have.
You could have had SWAT mobilized.
They could have.
You could have had K-9 mobilized.
They could have also.
Right. And had you done any one of those things, Mr. Jean would probably be alive today. Right?
Yes, sir.
That's it for her. That was it. That was all. It was over. Like I don't understand why we even here, other than what was she thinking? Thinking. What was she thinking? She's supposed to be an officer 24 hours a day. I didn't know that, but you're an officer 24/7. Your training has you held to a higher standard. I don't know. I don't know, because I didn't watch the whole trial, what the prosecution used to define her intent. And I think that was all the defense should have been working on. What was her intent when she came there? And that's it. But she shot him just like her training showed her to do. She shot him in the center mass. She had her gun, her service revolver on her. They point out she parked her vehicle like an officer parks their vehicle. She was carrying, by her own admission, all of her equipment into the home, into the building, into the premises, as an officer does. In the left hand, she had her right hand free so that she can grab her revolver. The only thing I had an issue with was trying to figure out what this probably means. The key was in the door. So we now know how the door opened, because that was one of the questions I had. The door allegedly was ajar. So I guess this guy was supposed to be sitting in his house without his with his door not being locked or halfway open. He was chilling, eating ice cream, watching TV in the dark. So she says. She puts her key inside the door, notices and hears rustling inside, draws her revolver, tells the person to let me see your hands, and shoots the shit out of him. And that the rest of it is history, according to her. I'm only going to go with what's according to her when she testified, not all the other stuff that might have been out there about it, because I thought she was having an affair with this person, that person. Find out it was just another police officer. I think it's interesting, leading up to what I just played to you as an excerpt. The prosecution shows her afterwards. He's showing her pictures or a video of the actions that she took while the investigation was going on. After the police arrived and removed her from the scene, she called all her buddies from her team, her fellow police officers. They were all there in seconds or whatever, comforting her. She had a whole team of people. They did typically what we seen officers do, instruct her to remain silent. It's just creepy. She would have had to explain more how she got to the wrong apartment. That 911 tape, when the defense had her explain her actions during it, like when you make the call, tell us what you was thinking at that time. when you made the call. And then she's explained to us before the call started that she first had to figure out where she was at. But that's not how the recording sounded. It sounded like when she called, she told them exactly where she was at, and then started to say she was in the wrong apartment. I don't know what that must have felt like if I was to believe her story, that her version of the events. I'm not gonna call it a story. Her version of the events if she walked into a place um and found it. I don't know. Uh I need to know for my own edifice, right? Out of all the police involved shootings that we have that have made it to the forefront, or all the injustice. So I don't know, because I would not look at this as a police involved shooting, but a lot of folks are, and they're comparing it to other police involved shootings. This is not like Sean Bell. Yeah. This was not like, well, I needed to hear why she was disorientated and was at the wrong apartment. They did a piss poor job explaining to me why she was at the wrong apartment. Even though it was the apartment directly above her, I didn't feel like, oh shit, she was at the wrong apartment. Like, you understand? She explains that she sent her dog away with her mother because there was going to be some work on the apartment. Uh, and she had the dog go away and spend a week with her mother. So she knew there was no dog telling her, this is your apartment. So, it's just weird, as it just didn't make sense. And I would have never went to trial with this shit. But I guess people don't have any choices these days. They gotta go to trial because um that's it. But I believe the biggest defeat is yet to come. It was obvious that she was guilty. So that was a no-brainer. So I'm glad it only took 7 days of trial, or whatever, because I only remember seeing day 7 and then so on. So I'm glad it was short. I'm glad it was televised so people could see the court system and how it really works. But here's the critical part. Right now, it is the sentencing phase. So from what I see, it's anywhere from 5 years to life. And I'm gonna wait it out and see what happens. I was on another channel yesterday, and I said she should get 25 to life, because I'm just so used to New York standards. Like, you get 25 to life uh, for killing a man. Probably somewhere in the middle of that, it'd probably be like 15 years. But I don't know, because this is Texas. Texas, though, has the most stringent laws. So hey, let me say hi to everyone that's in the chat. Dallas Cowboys, how you doing? Eval May, let me do this up here. Eval May, Raining Woman, uh, Dallas Cowboys, Alethea, Alan Walker, and Crystal. Good morning, all of you. Good morning to the rest of the influencers. When you see this, please hit the like button, because I'm like competing with these dislike peoples. Keep your disliking ass out of here unless you're going to fess up and tell me what you dislike. I need to know. Self improvement makes the world go round. Otherwise, it's just hate, and then you should just not hit nothing and just hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Okay. Um. So that's my takeaway. So I'll wait and see what the verdict is. Tonight when we speak on this with your influence. I need to know. I just need to understand better how this collates, how this connects to all the other incidents that we have of police involved shootings. But I don't see her at the at the point that she's entering her home. I don't see her as a police officer, even though I know you act by how you're trained. So they made it clear she responded as an officer respond. I think the most damning thing for her, if I had been on the jury, is the fact that she had a radio and could have radioed in. And in lieu of radioing in, she opted to call 911 when she just could have radioed the whole time. So that was creepy. And she was still in uniform. So that was creepier. Now, let me speak to people. As a mom, I listened patiently yesterday to the mother of the man killed. I don't know his name, so I listened to his mother sit there, and she was she was a lady, and she conducted herself in such a way. She seemed very calm, very put together, and she just walked you through meticulously her son's life. So my first initial opinion is that she's still in shock. So for the sentencing phase, the victim's family gets to sit and give you an impact of what this person's life was, what they meant to him, and what the loss was. They didn't do a good job of that. He had some team member. The mother was there. The only person that made me feel as if they had a loss was the sister at the end. I think it was good to rap with her. New Yorker, so she probably had a little bit more training in terms of reality. Like, you gotta feel my pain, so I could feel her pain. There was nothing else. There was no big. Unfortunately, they just made him seem so mediocre. Like it was just like he was just so just here. He was just a person here in society. And if y'all wanted to use this as your poster child to how we need justice, then you should have put more value on what a black life meant. And I feel like it was an opportunity missed. The mom didn't have me crying. And the mom's struggle was real. Bringing your child to America and gonna leave him here and putting your money together to get him in the best program. Even even like, this is the shiz that got me. He's working at Price Waterhouse. Started there as an intern and then became an employee. And that wasn't highlighted enough for me. Like, you didn't even tell the impact. Like, at Price Waterhouse, you know how big that is? Do you know how hard it is to get into finance as a person of color? But even whoever came in representing the company, talking about him, just mediocred him. Okay. Those are irrelevant. Those are irrelevant. That woman was going to be found. Like, this is the distraction. Focus on Don't take your mind off of that. I'm speaking this morning about valuing us, putting a tag on our worth, what it means to be a person of color in the United States. And here we had a man who was going to be worth a lot taken away. And it wasn't conveyed enough. They needed to understand why we matter. See, when people talk about Black Lives Matter, this was the time to make it known why his life mattered. And I felt like that wasn't done enough. Y'all want to focus on her text messages? We could do that tonight when I have the live stream. That's in the evening. Everybody can call in and weigh in. I'm going to let you get all your points out because you are speaking truth, but you are speaking off of what the focus should be. See, we want to focus back on why they are wrong, why they have built up the mens rea against us, right? And it doesn't make sense. And we need to evaluate that and attack that. They build up a mens rea against us, right? She's got a mindset against us, right? The mindset against us is because we matter. And we need to see that through and through. We need to so because we spend so much time pulling each other down as a community, we can't highlight why we are valuable, why we matter in this society, what we bring to the table. You understand? You hear people tell you all the time, the United States was built on the back of blacks. You know it, but you don't really know of it. You know it, but you don't know of it because it's not regurgitated out of us. Every one of us should be able to cite what our contribution, how we are contributors to this. He was a contributor. But I feel that because and this is why I speak on the mother, because she was a woman of pride, she conducted herself. Yeah, she conducted herself with such dignity. It was hard to see differently. Did you catch anything else awkward that we should know about out of that? I agree with I heard all about those things. Though I heard all about, let me not say those things. I heard all about the text messages. And in the sentencing phrase, right? We look at her character as well because it may impact how the jurors feel. And the next component of what I want to talk about is who are the jurors? So, Alan, do you know, Reigning Woman, do you know? Because I'm getting a strong feeling. I was just reading articles yesterday that the juror selection was comprised of women of color. Well, I believe they said women and people of color mostly filled the juror pool. And someone actually referred to it as watching an O.J. Simpson jurors were about the same composition of the O.J. Simpson trial. Be mindful of that if that is so. But I'm not going to. You saw that too? Oh yeah, I should have asked you, Ivame. You be all in the in other places listening to different commentary. Did you hear you yeah. I was surprised to hear that because it made it seem as if we only can get guilty verdicts if we deal with a cohort like the jurors in the O.J. Simpson trial, which I believe he had a predominantly black jury. Um, I personally want justice. 5 black, 2 Puerto Rican, 1 Asian, 2 whites. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, so they don't have to have 12. 5 black, 2 Puerto Rican, 1 Asian, 2 whites. I mean, I was in that chat, had to turn chat off. Hateful comments. You was in what chat? I you was somewhere I was at? We was in the same place? You need to hit me up when we in the same place so I could exit. When you exit. Most of the time I don't watch. I told you I don't watch chats. I listen to whatever is pulled out by the content producer. Oh, I watched it live, but I watched it. Shout out to D period O period D. Right? I watched it in friendly spaces. So today he will rerun it. So I don't think he'll mind if I put in his let me find him and I'll put his link to his channel in here so y'all can find his channel. I just tell y'all where I was at. I watched it live from Friendly Spaces, and he did a good job in respect to just playing it, not interrupting or anything. So I like that. And he commented afterwards. You know, they saved all their commentary to the end. And I like that. Rainy, you're live. I'll go over there as soon as I'm done. You multitasking lady. So I'll listen to you. I'm taking a training to work during my commute if you're still live. So I hope that people will understand my position this morning is that we may have found justice, but we also need to put a value. You're supposed to feel as if you took a king off of this plateau. You took away a king, and the whole community is hurt for it. I'm going to my history to find, but now I'm gonna have a whole lot of videos in here because I watched a whole lot of, because I had to find I had to find somebody that had the trial where I could just see her testimony, because I was only interested in her testimony, because I like, what a fool. Not only did you go to trial, lady, officer lady, but you had the audacity to go to trial and testify. I was like, wow, you can't make this shit up, but you can make anything up in this day and age. You can make anything up in this day and age. Wow. Let me see if I just find the channel. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing 'cause I know what it feels to be free. Oh, I'm gonna have to find the video. I'll come back. I'll find it. Well, let me get out of here. It's too much shit going on. That's a little bit more thing. That was her bullshit, arrogant attitude. Yes, her arrogant attitude got her in trouble. Law and crime is the best link. Yeah, but I think what Yvonne is saying, when you're in those spaces, because I'm subscribed to that person too. When you're in those spaces, the comments will fucking kill you. Like if because everything here on in social media is uh geared at predictive programming. People want you to agree with their opinion, so they're gonna floodgate you with it. Even if you tell them, I see your point, but right now I want to focus on just another component of it, a different perspective on something. They're so conditioned to wanting to get their voice out there, they're just going to keep on doing them, disregarding that you want to bring a focal point on something else. Right. So you don't want to be overwhelmed. Well, I didn't have that. I was sitting there at work and I was just listening and the whole thing was playing and I was watching it without any interruptions, without any body's view or whatever. But I'm just saying cuz I tried to explain something this morning and somebody just kept on. So I just let them I let them live because they're right. Who's Sergeant Dorsey? You got a lot of people, you got a lot of things going on. All right, so I'm going to end on that note. As I said, I would like to see 25 to life. I would hope at the minimum it's a 15-year sentence. Oh, yeah, the mean chat room. Yeah, that's where Yvonne said she was at listening to something and the chat was overwhelming to her. But the bottom line is anyone of color, non color, anyone that's just human could have told this police officer lady, like, listen, you still killed somebody. Your apartment or not, you still killed somebody. Don't you believe? Because in her testimony at some point, she was like, because I'm going to be taken away from my family. Oh, the crying. I needed to do this last week. The crying. I'm with the judge. Let's clear the courtroom. We ain't got no time for your crocodile tears, lady. And I think it was so good that the prosecution came back and showed you video of her at the scene afterwards, not feeling remorseful, being thing. Now, here's all the extra stuff for some people that don't understand that this is how they camouflage the BS. They want to tell us about, I need to understand, and you could tell me tonight, why her sexual activity with the other officer was important. Did he try to manipulate the crime scene? Like, what was all of that? Man, listen. She crying because she knows she's going to spend some time well, let me not say she knows, but hopefully she will get a sentence that's justifiable. What dude? Okay, crying for a dollar bill. Well, I know I'm not subscribed to the Sergeant, but the True Time, the Law and Crime, I do watch that, and that's it. Okay, shifting gears. I'm over this till tonight. All right, this is just open format. Anything anybody want to say? Anything anybody gotta add? Go Momo, it's your birthday. Get busy. Go Momo. Otherwise, I'll leave out for work early. Oh, talking about apartments, break-ins, and intruders. Something is going on in this building, and that's it. I'm gonna tell you what I am gonna do, Boogie, because I downloaded all of them. I'm going to watch the trial now. Uh, I'm gonna watch the whole trial and come with my copious notes and get back to y'all with it. But I'll probably do that in a private live. I'll let y'all know when I'm gonna go private on that. So just those that are interested will speak. The reason why I probably won't do it in an open live is because whatever happens, I don't want my negative opinion or thereof interfering with other people's what actually transpires unless I feel like it's significant. Otherwise, it's just be my opinion of something. And just me peeking in, there were so many things that I saw as this was going that's why I just fell back and I was just like, this is a no-brainer. Because did you kill somebody? Yes. The only issue is why. And can we prove if it just had to deal with intent? Good morning, Diane. I don't know. I think with the prosecution with so here's the problem I have with the prosecutors, right? If you're now bringing us all of these hateful, so now I'm gonna get to what the other person was talking about. If you're now bringing us all of these hateful text messages that officers are exchanging, are all these people still officers? Yes, she says she meant to kill him because she believed that that was her apartment. But right here, they were able to get her under oath saying, you follow police procedures, right? You followed all the police procedures. You followed, no, fuck police procedures. You followed your police training in that you did XYZ. You entered the apartment, you used your left hand, you pulled with your right hand, you shot him dead mass. You did all of the things that they do as an officer based on your training. With the exception of this, you did not retreat. So you followed, you parked your car, you're meticulous from your arrival. You may have went on the wrong floor, but you parked your car like an officer. You may have did this, you may have entered the wrong apartment, but everything you did was like an officer, like you're trained to do, with the exception of retreat. So once you failed to retreat, you was no longer like an officer. And that's what I've been trying to say. Like, her being an officer didn't matter to me as much, but now I can see why it matters to most other people, because her training is so it's part of who she is. But She went outside of that to get the threats. But where was your backup? And then she sounded like Eve after she ate the apple, and they was running around talking about, I got to get me some figs to cover myself because I felt naked. This is what happens when you go against your core principles. Yeah, I could bring anything ever home ever so often. And that's what she did. No, the text messages were allowed in yesterday as part of the sentencing phase to allow the jurors to see how she talked, what the things that she spoke on, the MLK, because I heard them and I wasn't watching no news media or anything. I was watching a court case and they were allowed in because that's how I heard them. So they wasn't allowed in during the case maybe, but they were definitely allowed in as part of the sentencing. No, not during the trial that found her guilty. During the sentencing phase, you are trying now to determine the character of everybody. So here it is, right? If Mr. Gene had been some kind of criminal record, not a good, outstanding citizen, not a man who was in the church, who was doing community-based stuff, uplifting young folks, not a man with the job at a prominent financial institution that doesn't hire that he's elite just to get inside of that, which means that he had some skills, some talent. This is what every mother would want for her son. He was someone. So here we are. He was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's uncle. This woman took away my son's ability to ever have children, bring me grandchildren. He had a life ahead of him that was going to be good. And you took that all away from them. That's the stuff that drives me insane. That's what I wanted to hear. All his potential. Here is what my son was. He went to school. He went to come here. That's what I wanted to hear pour out. But because she was of dignity, she wasn't ratchet like some of us may be considered. She gave you an evil, even tempered of her. You know, for some women, it's hard to show this hurt. And that's why I felt she's still in shock. Her son right now, if you wanted to look at parents of famous Black men, her son right now, in my eyes, he was equivalent to the NBA player who just signed with the basketball player that just signed a contract on draft pick for the NBA. He was like an NFL player on pick night. You understand? That's the equivalence her son should look like to us. Even though we didn't know him by name, he should sound like he was that man. That's what I didn't hear until the sister came up there. And really told you the impact of her. Shout out to her because she's a New Yorker and she brought that New York feist, and she was dignified and you could tell she was her mother's daughter. And she talked about the impact of his positivity being gone, and especially she's a mother of sons. And she also spoke about how her son is impacted by police now based on this incident. So there's an impact there. So bringing in the text messages at the sentencing phase is introducing us now to who This woman is who's going to be preying on them to give her leniency. So my thought process is this. They knew she was guilty because she was going to be found, the defense. They knew she was going to be found guilty, but they wanted to pep in front of that jury a nicer side of her. The DA did a great job trying to say, yo, you know, you won't sound like no little wissy here. You use direct commands. If you was out in the street and in your uniform, you would be shouting. What was the stuff that she said? She alleged she said, let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. She's in the courtroom talking about, let me see your hands. Let me see. He was like, you be saying with authority, let me see your hands in an authoritative voice. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Right? So don't come in here, lady, sitting up here crying. Basically, he didn't say this. I'm saying this. Don't come in here giving us the crocodile tears. Whoa, 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 your crocodile tears. Don't come in here giving us your crocodile tears, lady. Don't come in here giving us your innocent voice. Ooh, I said, hands up. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hand. No, say it just like you was. Say it like you say it in the text messages. I'm at MLK and whatever you said there. Say it with this tenacity. Say it with your nastiness, lady. Get it out there. Let us hear it. So that was the purpose of introducing, and having had now seen her perform on trial, I think it made it more easier to bring in or introduce those text messages for the sentencing component of it. Because now we're talking about you. Now we're talking everything about you. You're a reckless woman. You up here having a relationship with this man. Bitch, you can't remember. Because I'm trying to figure out how you was getting to the wrong appointment. Your panties was hot. You thought Mr. Rivera was coming to get up in you. You trying to get inside that house, get out that uniform. This is her. She walking. They set her up. They're like, oops, she's on the phone talking to him. There's some text message. We cannot be happy. What I'm trying to say this morning is we should not be happy that she was found guilty. We should be cautiously optimistic that we will get justice, or see, because we're not getting nothing, but we will see justice. You understand? So she was moonlighting as a courtesy officer for the previous building that she lived in. So she moved out of the other building that she lived in because her lease was up and she didn't want to do courtesy officer no more, just to lose it. Because if she was courtesy officer in this building that she lived in now, she'd have no excuse to say she was on the wrong floor. No, everybody could be happy. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. I'm not finding that victory, because I think that people are mixing the victories. This victory should be in this case alone, and it should not be going across the board for all cases involving police officers. We finally got our justice. If so, we're going to be doing the same thing that happened in the O.J. Simpson case, when the communities of the other colors, other communities felt like we were willing to dance around the street for OJ, knowing that OJ was guilty, even though he was found not guilty, but it satisfied us for past injustice. Fuck no. This is justice for Mr. Gene and that mentality that killed him. Period. End of story. It still won't bring us any kind of salvation for all of the previous murders of Black men at the hands of officers. And I don't know how many of them were off-duty officers, compared to the lives to come. And no, it's not an indicator. Maybe it's an indicator for Texas because Texas is having its time with its officers. You got them going inside of homes, falsifying warrants and stuff to get inside, to get onto premises. So maybe this is something for Texas, but this is not an indicator for all of us across the board that we got justice in for everything. And if you're thinking along that lines, I feel as if that's such a small thought. You take your victories where they come. You say, we're going to fight this. This is a start. But it should not be an indicator It should not. It should not be your catalyst, or it should not be your pacifier. That yes, we've got justice for everything that passed, and I believe that's what people are trying to do. No, no, no. Celebrate this man's life. Celebrate that. This, if you want to celebrate, I don't know. I have a different opinion. I'd love to hear yours this evening when I come back, West Coast time. There was something up here. I think she was moonlighting. All right, I took care of that. While looking at him sitting there eating his ice cream, she could clearly see she was not in her apartment. So Diane, I've heard that, but I didn't listen to all of that. All I listened to, the only part of the trial I heard, and that's why I said I'm gonna go back and listen to the rest of it, was what she had to say. Because see, the prosecutors had a duty to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she did this, right? And most of the times, the defendant will sit there and be quiet. When it comes time, they will put on their case without them speaking. Once she took the stand, she's the whole case. So I only go by what came out of her mouth to prove her case. So I keep asking, why would she come forward? And all she came forward in my position was to show a simpler side of her. I played, if you go back to the beginning of this video, maybe in the first 10 minutes, I played an audio of her speaking in court, right? Even when she should get mad in the courtroom, she's even kilted. That's all for the sentencing phase. They already took their loss. She was going to be found guilty. They did damage control on her sentencing to show you a softer, gentler officer. That's all this is. That was their strategy. That's it. That's all. That's everything. She was guilty walking in, as most officers are. But this one was more guilty because she wasn't in the line of duty where she had a absolute fear embedded in her entry to anything. She had the ability to do what? Retreat. Call for backup. She became a one-man vigilante. Anytime you become a one-man vigilante, you end up in jail. All she's trying to do is minimize those years at this point. But I always felt there was a missing link. She was having a panic meltdown when called boyfriend. He may have manipulated the crime scene. I don't know about all of that, Alan. All I know is that she was on the phone. It sounds as if, hey, Joanna, it sounds as if that's her business. She took the stand. I was like, I heard this over the week. I was like, I ain't got no time for this. This woman took the stand. Is she crazy? All I'm going to say to you is that I feel like she didn't lead us up to what she was doing. She was talking on the phone. They said the text messages that she got at that point was that Rivera was coming over that night. She said, no, he wasn't. I was about to say bitch. Bitch, you already done ruined that marriage. If Mr. Rivera is still married, that lady is good. You already ruined that marriage. So sitting there on the stand talking about he wasn't gonna come over that night is BS, because this man was walking you through his whole day. He was at Little League or whatever league, bowling league, some league with his kids, Boy Scouts. He went to Cub Scouts that night. Did some left work early, left y'all doing all the paperwork with the with whatever robbery, whatever suspects y'all was looking at. Then you was up here talking to him. He was closing out. Girl, y'all know y'all was, and your ass was parked on the wrong level, hot and bothered that you was gonna get you some from Mr. Rivera. He was laying down the pipe. He was laying down carpet like Alan Carpet. Anyway, she thought she was gonna get her some. This is my scenario, all right? This is Hermans Reyes. She thought she was gonna get her some. Her ass was walking around carrying on like I carry my Louis Vuitton crocked up here. Girlfriend had all her equipment. Walking down the hallway, I'm gonna get me some. Oh, he gonna rock that bells, rock them bells, rock them bells. She got to her apartment, put the key in the door, and was like, "Oh shit, this is crap." Oh, and that's what it was. Bitch, you should have told that story. She didn't know how. She said she needed the second person in order to do so. She didn't know how. I think she bugged the fuck out. She didn't know how. She talked about some techniques but I'm gonna tell you, looking at her in the other videos, just go back to her testimony only and go back to what the prosecutor puts up there as he's showing her behavior. Well, she said she put the key in the door and then noticed it was cracked. But what he said, so he just sitting around his house with a broke ass apartment door. Come on. But what it doesn't really matter. That was Hermans Reyes, but she wasn't trying to explain what she was thinking there. You know why? So she's gonna spend the rest of the time in jail for Rivera's penis because she tried to protect him, his image all the way around. Girl, you were sleeping with that man, and this is, so black men out here talking all the junk about black women. See, white women stand up for them too. Now they are looking for Mr. Rivera for a past murder because of the way he deleted the text between him and her. Okay. She lied about the CPR. They have you practice on a dummy. Again, folks, what was the purpose of her testifying? It was to reduce her sentence. She is going to jail. It was just to show you her demeanor to reduce her sentence. That's all. That's all. That's everything. But I just want to show y'all, in my view, how a woman will stand for a man no matter what. It ain't just, she a ride or die for Mr. Rivera. I'd have been up there talking about Mr. Rivera was breaking my back out. I wanted him so bad. I was just thinking about how I was gonna get fucked. That's it. These are not complicated situations. I do believe she said they wasn't gonna meet up. That was just, he's never been to that apartment. He's never known me. I was like, lady, please, would you please just stop? Can you please stop? Can you just not insult me no more with this shit? Can you not do this, lady? And that was the point I was at with her. Like, I just was listening. I was like, oh boy. What's that stuff? He was Mr. Bedrock. He was Mr. Bedrock. You can make my bed rock. Y'all know that song, Hey Mr. Bedrock. I don't know. That just came to my mind as I was thinking about it. I gotta go find her. They tried to show a better character of her. It was gonna work until Auntie Judge allowed those text messages. The text messages, no. So let me make sure that the text messages got introduced in the sentencing phase. They are being utilized for character purposes. In the trial phase, they only went with nothing but the evidence. This is what happened. This is what the coroner's report is. This is what witnesses heard. That's it. They stuck to something that we seem to not do a lot, the facts. They stuck to all the facts of the case. And then she assassinated herself by taking a stand. But the purpose of her taking the stand was to show you a softer, gentler, meek woman. She was wearing a pale dress, a pale colored dress down below her knees, with this with a suit jacket on top of it, a sweater. Um, Honestly, Joanna, I feel like her character was, you go back to the beginning of this video, 10 minutes in. I think it's at the 10-minute mark when I play her testimony where the prosecuting is cross-examination and the prosecutor picks away at her demeanor, period. He says, she's not this meek person. In the street, you have an authoritative voice. In your uniform, you are somebody else. When she shot this man, this bitch, she was in uniform. So that destroyed her. Her testimony destroyed her from my perspective. But take a look at just her testimony for yourself. Watch, like, wind through it on her part where she's doing direct. Look at her and how she's speaking and low and all this other stuff, and when she's doing the pointing of the gun. Watch her there in those little clippers. Then fast forward all the way to when the prosecutor starts to speak to her and take at her. It was showing us a softer, gentler officer so that we could see this meek woman who's struggling to carry her fucking equipment down the hallway as she goes and executes a man eating ice cream in his own goddamn apartment. And the important things is that all of the things that would have been defenses for her were not even allowed in. Like the laws that would have been defenses were not allowed in, I believe, to my knowledge. Well, guess she's going to learn how to make a breakdown. Well, we have to see, because folks, if Rivera got all these issues going on with him, I'm gonna leave that alone. I don't want to go. I don't want to be assuming, because I done read the 4 agreements, and I am trying to keep assumptions out of my life. I'm starting to walk away from assuming anything. I just want to deal with the facts. I want to live a happier me, and by living a happier me, I'm just going to continue to do. I'm going to modify those 4 agreements to fit me, but I'm going to really try to live by it. So the assumption part, I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just working on the facts. And that's going to be a work in progress because we all assume things. But Joanna, go back and take a peek at her demeanor. She was destroyed on testimony. I wasn't even feeling her childhood. And now it explains to me why the mother came up to explain her son's childhood. You understand? And let me tell you something. If she was in the mariachi band or any fucking band she was in, she was running around here carrying equipment all her goddamn life. So I wasn't that impressed. Like, man, listen, let me just go mind my business. Well, guess she's going to learn how to make. Y'all are killing me. She's going to learn. She's going to be incarcerated. The question is, for how long? And I guess the other question is, what is the community able to accept out of a plea? I mean, out of the verdict is in, right? What is the community willing to accept in this phase of sentencing? What is the number? So let me just ask you guys, what are you hoping to see? What do you believe? All right, here's the first question. Question number 1. What do you believe she should get as a sentence? Me, I feel like she should get 25 years to life. And 15 years in, she can go to she could go to eligible for whatever the hell that is, parole. Well, I think if you get to life, you're not eligible for parole. But I couldn't figure out because the articles were outweighing my Google search. So I couldn't get down. I couldn't find the statutes. And since I'm not in Texas, I couldn't find out what they normally get, what you normally get. And I couldn't find out which level of was it first degree murder, second degree murder? I couldn't figure that out. It just says she was found guilty of murder. Okay, Boogie, explain the pardon thing. I got a little bit of time. Man, I love. I need an explanation for this pardon thing. Sometimes I feel, folks, now we all have our expectations of what we feel she should get. What will happen if she doesn't get anywhere near there? Like, what is not acceptable as a sentence? Texas is a racist state. Several petitions from the police union to the governor after time may be effective. I will admit that Texas has issues. I wonder if she'll turn on Rivera with whatever he got going on. Oh, here we go. Why that came up on my phone so nicely, but I couldn't find it on my thing. All right, I told y'all I would drop where I was at yesterday watching this. So that's where I was at yesterday watching this. All right, I told y'all I would drop where I was at yesterday watching this. So that's where I was at yesterday watching this. All right, I told y'all I would I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if y'all heard that. When I was doing that, I have to be remembering stuff, right? I wondered if he had any disciplinary action taken against him. Who, the officer Rivera? Let's find out. We could just, but I don't know. This was the hardest thing for me to be Googling last night. I was like, oh God, because there's so many, you got to be a Google master in this stuff. So what was her name? Her name was Amber. But I'm sure Officer Rivera is not married anymore. All right, so I'm gonna go to CNN. I got 7 minutes, guys. Ex-officer Amber Geiger was just convicted of murder. Here's why some activists wanted her partner fired. Moments before Amber Geiger killed her neighbor, allegedly mistaking his apartment for her own, the then Dallas officer was on the phone with her police partner. But the two didn't have just a professional relationship. Geiger testified that she once had an affair with her married partner. She said she was screwing him at least once a month. Martin Rivera, one that she later described as morally wrong. Yet even and she moonlighted, right, as a she had a part-time job working at the church. They said that they are investigating a killing he did a couple of years ago while on duty. But see, that's a killing he did while on duty. This chick was off duty. That's why I couldn't keep. That's why I didn't understand. For me, I was having a problem understanding why they keep saying she's an officer. The bitch was off duty, but she was in her uniform. And number two, uh, see, to me, she would have sounded better if she just would have been like on that 911 call, so giving her apartment number. But she realized now she wasn't in her apartment. I think it took her a couple of minutes before she called that 911 in, but that's just me. Yet even after Geiger killed Mr. Jean, she found time to text Rivera and even sent sexual messages to him days later. See, that's why I'm saying her ass was getting ready for him to come in and give her. Listen, you ever been enamored with a guy? You in love with him? Like, let's just be what it is. Let's keep it what it's real. Women, ladies. He's coming. You just got off of work late. What do you want to do? You want to get into your house, get into the shower, get that stuff all together so you could get your stuff together. Stop acting like that don't happen. I'm glad sis they need to, but I wondered about the role when okay, he needs to be held accountable as well. Rivera testified he deleted the text between him and Geiger from the night of the shooting. That's not something that I would want to be reminded of, and I don't keep messages saved unless it's of an importance to me. Now, who was the other officer? Because there was an officer yesterday that testified, her supervisor testified. Now, activist groups such as Mothers Against Police Brutality and Next Generation Action Network are calling for Rivera to be fired from the Dallas Police Department. But the department can't comment on testimony Rivera gave during the trial until the judge removes a gag order. That's who I thought it was. And any comment on Rivera's future with DPD will have to wait until after the sentencing phase of Geiger's trial. While Geiger was fired from the Dallas Police Department, Rivera is still assigned to a patrol division. He joined the force in 2002 and now holds the rank of senior corporal. Well, I could tell you a few things. I'm surprised at minimum, but you can see sexual harassment, right? The Me Too movement. You can have an affair with your boss. What you can't do is have the affair have undue bias towards you getting a position, getting into a position or not getting a position. If the sex is for advancement, then that's where the Me Too stuff come in. But you can have an affair with someone at your job, but it is shunned upon if it's your supervisor. But I will look at while I'm on the train because today I got a little bit more time for reading stuff because I'm not driving. All right, let's see what this one says. It's still another CNN. It's another. Let me look someplace else. Let me see. Washington Post. The Washington Post focuses on the offensive text messages. No, Boogie. The Me Too movement began in one way and it moved to Hollywood in another way. So just because Black men have been found more guilty of it, the Me Too movement still may impact men of non-color as well. But in this instance, with a name like Rivera, who really is he? What really is he? I ain't break him down, but so all right. What things were targeted? All right. I use the Me Too in the context of having a work affair at work, having an affair at work. So I'm gonna look back and to see how the Me Too movement began, because I know it has origins in the Black community and what it was intended for when it was our movement. But when Hollywood took it over, it was meant for something else. By Joanna, when Hollywood took it over, it turned into another statement. But the bottom line is you can file sexual harassment, or you can an employer can find sexual harassment against two employees who have a relationship if the relationship leads to promotion. That's why it's strictly frowned upon for a supervisor to date inside of or have an affair with the person that works underneath him or underneath her, because the walls, there's no Chinese walls there, so to speak. So it's frowned upon. So this is based on the Washington Post, but after a jury convicted Amber Geiger, 31, of murder on Tuesday, prosecutors introduced text message sent by the former officer that showed her making offensive statements. In the text, Geiger jokes about Martin Luther King Jr.'s death, mocks her Black colleagues, and discusses a dog that her friend warns may be racist. It's okay. I'm the same. Geiger wrote. But about the dog, back about the dog. Just days before the fatal shot, before she fatally shot the 26-year-old in his Dallas apartment on September 6, 2018. 1 minute later, she texts again, I hate everything and everyone but you all. Prosecutors will use Geiger's texts, her social media posts, and her disciplinary record as a police officer to argue for a harsher sentence. Duh. Though they haven't specified what length of prison term they will request, the jury will decide her sentence. They could range, which could range from 5 years to life in prison without the possibility of probation. Yes, and did you get you got a verbal reprimand or you got a written reprimand? Because in New York State, you should have gotten a written reprimand because I think that's the policy. The sentencing phase of the case will continue Wednesday, and the prosecution and defense will share additional testimony, including from Geiger, who is expected to testify for a second time. I was speaking to Boogie. You got a verbal? Interesting. Things have changed. Things have changed. Yes. Yeah, things have changed. I think there's been changes since like 2017, 2015. Things changed. It was that's why I said it was frowned upon. It was highly discouraged. Yeah. Other texts by Geiger had already played an important role in her trial when prosecutors argued a sexually explicit exchange with her partner. Yo, yesterday when I'm listening to the shiz, they was sending like they was he sent her an explicitly graphic picture. So I'm saying he was sexting with her. So I guess he sent her a dick pic in the midst of all of this shit. You know what? I must be the only woman that hasn't received a dick pic. I'm upset. I don't want your dick pics. But I'm just like, I must be the only person that ain't get one. And I think I would, like, I'm thinking about this, right? I think I would be offended if he sent me his dick pic. I think I would be. Like I never even required a dick pic as entry for whatever. Like I don't know. I never got one. I how low can you go? No, my email will not be flooded because I'm gonna tell you right now. Sending explicitly graphic photographs to Momomo will get your ass in jail. I think it would be no, I don't think I know. Like I'm never like I'm like you do all kinds of stuff in this world, but I would not be requiring his dick pic. I didn't even think about would I like want one. Like not been in some compromising situations here, but I don't think I would want one. Like that's just crazy. And I ain't never sent no puss pics. Just putting it out there. All right. Argued a sexually explicit exchange with her partner on the Dallas police force distracted her as she. Oh, listen to this. Other texts by Geiger had already played an important role in her trial when prosecutors argued a sexually explicit exchange with her partner on the Dallas police force distracted her as she walked to Jean's apartment. That's what I'm thinking. See, I ain't hear all of that, but that's what I was thinking based on her testimony, which was one floor above her own. Geiger's defense disputed that claim, saying the two had ended an affair months before. She mistakenly entered the wrong apartment because she was tired after a nearly 14-hour shift, her defense argued, and then shot Gene twice, thinking he was a burglar. Now, you know what? Let me tell you something. This chick was supposed to say she broke night. I know. That claim did not sway the jurors, who deliberated for 5 hours before reaching a unanimous guilty verdict around 10:45 a.m. Tuesday. The new text introduced after the verdict the new text messages, right? Introduced after the verdict showed her mocking Black officers working for the Dallas Police Department with her partner, Officer Martin Rivera. Damn, I was at the area with 5 different Black officers, Rivera texts Geiger on March 9th. Not racist, but damn. Geiger echoed Rivera and added, not racist, but just have a different way of working, and it shows. During a 2018 parade on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Geiger texted another officer about her lengthy shift as attendees celebrated the Black civil rights activist legacy. When does this end? Laugh out loud, read a text sent to Geiger. She replied, when MLK is dead. Oh, wait. Prosecutors also showed images of Pinterest posts about guns and violence that Geiger has saved and commented on. One post showed the photo of who is the fuck is Minimum, whatever character, Minion, whoever the fuck, Minion, Minion, character from Despicable Me movies, with the caption, people are so ungrateful. No one ever thanks me for having the patience not to kill them. Geiger commented about owning a gun on another meme that read, I wear all black to remind you not to mess with me because I'm already dressed for your funeral. After the verdict, Geiger's former supervisor, Sergeant Watson, also recounted filing an internal affairs referral after the officer allowed a handcuffed prisoner to escape her custody. She did not immediately report the full details of the incident, he said, but during cross-examination, Watson told the court he thought Geiger had been a dependable, hardworking officer. When Gene's mother and sister took the stand Tuesday, they spoke emotionally about their relationship with the 26-year-old accountant who had immigrated to United States from St. Lucia. Allison Gene took the stand and tearfully remembered her son's life. He had placed 23rd on the island in the entrance exam that landed him a coveted spot at St. Lucia's top high school. As a teen, he started a choir at his school and loved to sing. He moved to Arkansas to study accounting at Harding University before getting a job at a financial firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers. He would have been 28 on Sunday, she said. I always refer to him as the glue of my 3 kids. Prosecutors play videos of Gene singing at a worship service. All right, that was sad. While his older sister sat on the stand. I want my brother back, she told the court. In a red dress and pearls, Allison Jean wiped her tears and told the jury how, while visiting her daughter in New York, she learned at 12:13 a.m. on September 7th that her son had been killed. My life has not been the same, she said. It has just been like a roller coaster. I cannot sleep. I cannot eat. It's just been the most terrible thing for me. I almost am not able to work, but I just try to busy myself just to see if it will get out of my head. But it's been very, very, very difficult. She told the court she had been sick often. She said she worried her youngest son was not coping with his brother's death. I have to try to keep the family together because everything is in pain. Everybody's in pain, she said. We had a very, very close family. All right, NBC got some text messages. I need you, hurry. I just read that, but let me just see where that's at. I don't want to be reading all this stuff. I just want to get to the text message. You know me now, I'm scamming and bamming. No. Scamming and scamming. Scamming. I'm scanning the shit. Welcome to enter Jean's apartment by mistake on the 13th floor. Hemmett said that about 9:30 p.m., as Geiger finished her 13-and-a-half-hour shift, she sent Rivera a Snapchat message that read, "Wanna touch?" Details of the night continued with other testimony in Dallas Tuesday. I thought Snapchat messages disappeared. I just want to see the message that she was telling him to hurry up. All right, so after Geiger got off from work, she and Rivera had a 16-minute phone conversation that ended as she arrived at her apartment complex parking lot. The police department is about 2 blocks from the complex. Yeah. After getting off the phone with Rivera, Geiger had parked on the 4th level instead of the 3rd. At 10:02, Rivera received a text message that said, "I need you, hurry." A minute later, he texts, "I effed up." She texts, "I effed up." Prosecutors said that occurred while Geiger was on the phone with 911. Should you be giving 100% of your attention to the person dying in front of you? Yes, you should. Should you be sending text messages? I don't even want to say no. This guy had an infectious smile, though. And I'm surprised she just described a silhouette. She didn't even describe a threat. She didn't even give us an image of him in his own apartment eating ice cream. Why he would have been a threat to her, other than she believed she was in at her apartment. No, it sounds like she was texting. That's why now that makes me, and I'm going to go back and listen to that 9/11 call because they played the whole 9/11 call. So let me see. Was it the defense? The defense played the whole 9/11 call, and you probably can hear her in the 9/11 call fucking sending text messages. I'm over it. Y'all know how I get. I'm over it. I'm so over it right now. I'm over it. All right, I'm out the door. I'm over this. I, I didn't. I'm over it. I can't. I'm over it. Anyway, I'll be back tonight. Horoscopes. Horoscopes will be one session. I'll close it down and then I'll do an open talk line so that y'all could get y'all thoughts out on this. I'm gonna be peeping for the real ISIS one because she'll be down in Dallas. Um looking looking at the activities there because she was there yesterday, so whatever ceremony or celebration that they have over there, so I'm gonna tell y'all to look for her channel because she's going to be down there. And if that's going on, I'll come live and redirect us over there so that we can support and get the feeling or the momentum of the moment. Yesterday, go check out her room. Go check out her video. You could see um you could see her there and the women that she encountered when she was there and how they felt. Let me get her channel and put it in here. Um because I was actually elated to know that I knew a YouTuber, knew of one that was down there. So it's like it's just crazy how this could really how powerful these platforms are if we use them in a way to communicate if we effectively communicate it, if we found a way to effectively communicate. Let me see, I saw this person just feature her. I'm subscribed to her, so I'm looking. I hate looking through this thing. Y'all know I can't scroll. I gotta go back into my history. Oh, she's at the top of my stuff because she got at in front of her first. Let me just share her channel. Well, let me share that video that she was yesterday so you could see the video of her being down there. I thought it was great. I wish I had seen her in real time. I would have loved to have been in the chat. There it is. Well, thank you very much on that. I think that we're all speaking from the heart, and I respect everyone's opinion in this. But that is my goal here, is to get people to look at things from a different perspective and try to effectuate change from that different perspective. Like, what do we need to do moving forward? And what could we have done differently to get our value quantified appropriately? And that's all. And I hope I did it in a manner that was respectful, because that's important for people to really even want to indulge, to embrace you. They've got to really take a moment just to listen. So it's very hard to capture that. So thank you, Cece, for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Anyway, this is Mo, and I've got to go. um I put DODs in there earlier. He said he would play again the trial today, so I'm gonna listen. Just be very careful out here in the streets, in the real streets. Have a good day.